In today's Umamusume video, I want to go over Grass Wonder Fantasy, the Condor Pasa Fantasy, as well as the Seiun Sky and King Halo SSR support cards. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. Now, personally, I want to start with Grass Wonder because, one, it's so cool. I love heals. Alright, I love healers, so I am a little bit biased towards Grass Wonder, but for the video, we gonna keep it unbiased. She does have that 15% stamina growth rate as well as that 15% wit growth rate as well. She's going to be an A in turf. She can do the mile, medium, and long, and then is going to go pace or late. For me, I would say that she goes late, and we'll figure out why here very shortly. So when we look at her unique, it says that first off, it's going to be a 55 normal stuff, nothing too crazy with that. It will be during the middle leg, and she has to be passed up by somebody, and she needs to be 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th when it comes to CM, or just the 40% and beyond of the group, depending on how many people are in the race. And you'll get the normal 55 on the stamina recovery. Same thing as Super Creek, same thing as like a Gourmand, da 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 da. As we go further down, you're gonna see that she has a lot of recovery skills, which kind of plays into her wanting to go for long. We've got that pace strategy, we've got the deep breaths whenever you're entering straight, and then we also have the late surger white recovery skill. These are all just going to be the same 15s on their recovery. For her potential skills, she'll have a little debuff here, she'll have cooldown here on her third potential. This will be a 55. She'll get the late surger savvy, and then she'll also get relax, which is another 55. The only issue with this one is that it's going to be in the final leg and beyond, so this one is not as good, but it is still there. Now, the reason why I really like Grass Wonder Fantasy is if we take a look at the JP side of things, whenever all the changes come in, she's actually gonna go to a 7-5 on the heal. That is so cool to me because it's just gonna make her need even less stamina, and because she has that wit, she can afford to take even less stamina. In theory, you would look at it and you'd say, hey, we have a 7-5 here, we have a 5-5 here, and then we have this 5-5 as well. And when those changes come in, it'll change this skill from going to a final leg to a mid leg, which makes it even better. On top of that, later down the road, her skills will get target speed added into them. Now, I will say I'm hyped for it because it'll make the longs that much easier to do when it comes to CMs. Problem being is she's got no real offensive threats in her kit to really say, oh, I can take this or I can take that and then be competitive, right? The big things for her is that she doesn't have to worry about a lot of stamina. She can dive into wit, so that way she hits those wit checks and actually uses her skills. If you saw my Gemini Cup video, the post Gemini Cup thoughts, that was one of the things that kind of came to be. Is I was like, hey, I got 4 skills on Super Creek, I don't have the wit, and I'm missing some of these skills and I'm dying, right? And so with her, because she's got the stamina, we could take power cards, we could get like the Yainu Muteki, we could take other power cards to supplement and get her, you know, the stamina that she needs. Or even if you just take like 1 or 2 stamina cards and then you can fill it in with wit. Like, there's so many different potential things that you could do with her that I think makes her very fun to look at, right? However, I don't think she's going to be competitive when it comes to CMs, which makes it very unfortunate. If she is the Oshi, then by all means go after her, but at the very least, when it comes to longs, I think she can easily cover all the skills that you need, barring one. So like, even if you take her ult, you get the cooldown for free, and then let's just say you put in Super Creek, there's boom, 3 gold skills right there, and you're chilling. Pump the speed, pump the wit, pump the power, whatever you want, and you're done. So in theory, she could be a potentially good unit. However, when you put her on the tracks and actually get her running, you can see those bit of flaws with the offensive capabilities. Taking a look at El Condor Pasa next, she has the 15% in speed and 15% in guts when it comes to her growth rates. Same as her SR counterpart, she has A in turf and B in dirt. She's got the A in mile, A in medium, B in long, as well as A in pace and A in late. Now, one thing for El Condor Pasa fantasy version is her unique is going to be on that final corner. She needs to be overtaking someone, and then she's got to be, for CM specifically, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Now, what makes this relatively difficult is that that 6th place spot is always going to be a point of contention for late surgers, and we're going to be wanting to build her as late. You'll see here in a little bit. That 6th place is a big spot for contention because we've got that Megiddo Ryan ult. If we can block that off, if we can use the Ryan inherit for ourselves, that would be ideal, and then that'll help push us forward as we move on. However, the big thing is that if I'm thinking of that right now, I'm sure that's already been thought about. And if that's already been thought about, then we got to think to ourselves, why have we not been hearing about this? You know, we've heard about Seiun Sky, we've heard about Summer Marozensky, we've heard about Christmas Oguri. If she was so good, why have we not heard about her here? And for that reason, I believe is because I took a look at future CMs, and I could be wrong. Obviously, I can always be wrong. But I took a look at future CMs, and it just did not look like the great spots for her to proc her unique off. And so that could be a reason why it's not as coveted compared to someone like a Seiun Sky, someone Marozensky, so on and so on. However, if this is the Oshi, if this is someone that you like and enjoy, don't let that stop you from going after this character and then figuring out a way to make her work. We have that mid-game combo that you can, you know, ramp up, tail held high, slipstream, PTO, that you can grab there, and then even if it's suboptimal, that doesn't mean that you can't take that target speed, and then if this procs, you know, in theory, at the right time to help boost you to that higher target speed quickly enough, that's not to say that you can't figure out a way to make it work. It will just be a little bit more difficult. So for her skills, she does have the home stretch haste, the updrafters, and outer swell. Again, we're leaning towards the mile and late surger for this Pasa. We got the Unyielding Spirit, Furious Feet, the 1.5 million CC, and then we've got the Rising Dragon. Now, Furious Feet and Rising Dragon, if you took a look at that doc that I posted on my CM3 video, I believe these are two skills that are mentioned in there of being relatively strong. And then as far as the rest of her skills, we've got the Soft Step, Wet Conditions. Having that built-in Wet Conditions, relatively solid, just less RNG from different support cards. And then we've got the Calm in the Crowd and the Go with the Flow. Now, overall, are these characters going to be super strong for CM? Are these characters going to be your bread and butter superstar aces? No, not by any means. Are they interesting? Do they look great? And do they have some potential work in the future? Yeah, sure. But are you going to get your biggest bang for your buck right now? No, not by any means. Now, these are two characters. If they're your Oshis, go for it. If they're the waifus, go for it. But another thing that I could also potentially save you is in the future for maybe selector tickets. If you like them, but you know you need to save right now for whatever it is that's upcoming, then you could always spend anywhere between $20 to $30 and then just grab that character there and save your carats for now. So that's also an option. And don't forget, you could always get spooked. While you're going after somebody, they may also appear. So don't ever forget that, please. Moving on to our support cards, we'll take a look at the Seiun Sky Wit support card first. Now, as we take a look at this support card, we'll look at the specialty priority. That's the first thing I want to take a look at. Even at MLB, she does not have extremely high specialty priority. What she does have is the training effectiveness here, and then we've also got the speed. So whether she hits on wit, on guts, or on the actual speed node, having that extra bit of speed there also helps her. Just like with any other support card, as they get higher and higher into their limit breaks, they will become stronger, going up to 10 here, getting a little bit more friendship bonus compared to at base, and so on and so forth. Now, when we take a look at her skills, they are okay-ish. Like, they're just debuffs. We got 2 green skills here. Both of these are kind of meh in my opinion. And then the tail held high, this is good. However, we can get that on something like the Yaino Muteki. We could get that on the Marvelous Sunday. Or if you want, you could also get that on that Tazuna. Whatever you have available there. There are other ways to get this. The Vanguard Spirit Gold skill that you get from her events is relatively okay. The problem is you have to have a massive lead in first place in order to proc it. Now with so many different front runners, with so many different potential blockers that Global is going to be seeing, being able to get this skill off is going to be a little bit difficult. Now, I will say this card in particular is going to be amazing for the whales, because this card is only going to get better as you have other cards to complement it and actually be able to take advantage of wit hits. Having 4 SSR max limit broken cards, and then this one, and then you take your borrowed, that obviously should be MLB that you borrow, will really be able to complement this card in particular. But for someone like the free-to-play, for the unlucky, for the low spenders, very, very easy to skip. Nothing too crazy or necessary on this card. When we look at the King Halo SSR power card, this is where things get a little bit interesting, but then falls flat. So if we take a look at this card, we do have 35 specialty here, and then we're going to get 20 here, so 55 to start. And then as we get more of our limit breaks, we're going to go to 50 and have this 20 here. The problem is, because it is a power card and it has so much specialty priority, we're not getting the ideal amount of effectiveness from it, because with this 10 effectiveness and with the 40 friendship here, and then with the power bonus, imagine if it were a float card and we could get it to land on speed and then get them speed hits and then let it go to power every so often. Then it could be a little bit more interesting, but because it is a power card, it does fall flat to the curse of being a power card. Now with these skills, they are relatively okay, but the problem is that we can get these skills from a lot of other places. When we look at Blinding Flash, this isn't a terrible skill. You got to be on the sprint, and it's got to be in the final leg, and you have to be 6 or further. It would be 5, but there's no equal sign here, so we got to be 6 or further, so 6, 7, 8, 9. The reason why this is okay for sprint tracks is many times in Community Cup, I've seen people from the very far back take off and actually catch up and have enough time because the track is so much shorter. And because the track is shorter, our front runner is much closer to our pace, is closer to our late, is closer to our end, wherever you want to cramp them all together. There is a much higher chance for them to come back and take away that win. However, because this is the best thing that I can tell you for this card, you're better off just taking the SR Speed King Halo instead of wailing or chasing after this card. So in my opinion, this is a very easy skip banner, especially when we take a look at the Seiun Sky and we take a look at the King Halo. Very easy to skip both of these, or if you find a whale and you just want to tinker around with them, by all means, please borrow them instead. When it comes to the El Condor Pasa and the Grass Wonder, that's a little bit harder to say, because personally, I am going to throw like 3 multis at the Grass Wonder. If I get her, great. If I don't, which I'm not expecting anything, you know, cool. But I would love to at least just try for it, because if she makes my long CMs easier, by all means, we gonna take her. But that's all I got for this video. Let me know down below in the comment sections, are you gonna pull for any of this? Are you gonna skip for this? If you are gonna skip, what are you saving for? Do you feel that the assessments for the characters and cards are relatively solid, or do you think I missed the mark on something? Let me know down below, so that way we can all learn, and that way I can also see what I missed, or maybe have a little bit of discussion, healthy discussion. If you enjoy Umamusume content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and you can also like and comment. And if you're on mobile, there should be a hype button. If you want more people to see this video in particular, be sure to hit that hype. It very much helps me and my channel grow even bigger. Here is a massive shout out to my current channel members. Thank y'all so much for the support. It really means the world to me. I could not do this without y'all. And last but not least, be sure to share this video with your friends, with your family, and with your friends' family, so that way we all know general thoughts about the upcoming banner for Umamusume. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.